Hello, I'm Kimberly Henry, and this is Living the Good Life. In this series, we'll feature conversations around ways to embrace the goodness of life and take a big, juicy bite out of it. Food for the soul and the funny bone. Learn to give more time to yourself, become a better friend, lead an amazing life, and how to tell the best joke at the party. Living the good life can mean different things to different people. Whatever it is for you, I hope you'll find some inspiration here to live your most joyful, authentic life. Now, on to today's conversation. My guest today is a man of many words, or few words, depending on the mood, I'm guessing. but lots of stories to tell. I've heard a few of them, and I've read the ebook, and just am excited to talk with Brett Jensen this morning. Brett has Rising Eagle Drone Services. He is a full-time RVer. I won't say nomad because that's not currently the case, but we'll talk about
Not
that
really.
coming up. Brett, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm super excited for this conversation. Uh, Tell us a little bit about your nomad or non-nomad status right now.
Uh, well, we sold our house in Meridian, Idaho, a couple of years ago after I retired for the second time. First
Uh-huh.
time was the Army, second time was the USDA. And the plan was to get an RV and wander around a bit. And we
Hmm.
came down to Arizona where a couple of our kids are. And I got bored, got a part-time job as a drone as first responder pilot for Mesa PD. And that snowballed into a full-time job. So we're kind of stuck in place right now for a little while until I figure out the next steps.
But you seem to really be enjoying this kind of part of the process, right?
I do. I do. My adult existence was law enforcement. From the time
Mm-hmm.
I was 20 years old, I've been a police officer, state, local, federal, army.
Mm-hmm.
So the DFR piece fits right in with what I do for a profession. Uh, my wife says it gets me back with my people without me going to calls.
There you go. And DFR drone for as first responder, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So were you doing this before you sold your house and moved into an RV?
I was doing the drone piece. I stumbled into drones honestly because I had a year and a half left on my GI Bill, and I couldn't
Mhm.
give it to my kid, and I didn't want to give it back. And I found a program that trained drones. And I went, well, I used to do RC as a kid, so why not? So I signed up. The GI Bill paid for the drone and the training, and I just kind of got hooked into it. I've always had a love for aviation and for
Mhm.
photography, and the aerial photography and imagery from the drone fits right into both pieces. So I did a couple of jobs for a real estate broker friend of mine, and it kind of snowballed into, you know, me having a little side gig
Mhm.
as a drone pilot.
A side gig and now a full-time job.
Yes,
So
not my intention,
are you
but
though the kind of person who can't really not do anything?
my favorite joke is I have been working since I could sit a horse by myself.
Yeah.
I grew up on a ranch, farming, punching cows, and everybody in the family worked, obviously. And
Mhm.
so probably from 4 or 5 on, I've
Mhm.
been doing something. And I'm 68 now, and I don't know how to quit.
Well, they say in like if you study the blue zones in some of these longevity studies, that having a purpose is actually really healthy for you. It keeps you healthy and it keeps you living with a better quality of life longer. So I
Oh,
think
I
it's a
think you're absolutely right. I've seen that in real time with people I've known that had nothing
hmm
but the job, And as soon as they
Right.
quit the job, within 6 months, we were going to a funeral because they
Mm.
didn't have anything else. And I won't be that guy.
Yeah. Well, you're already proving that. You're already proving that.
Thank you.
So, what was the intention when you guys got in the RV and drove away from Idaho? What was
The intention,
the,
the
the
intention
dream, the
was
intention?
like we went to Colorado, where I was a supervisory investigator with the USDA and had a lot of friends. So we went there for 2 months, and then
Mm-hmm.
towards October we came to Arizona because, like I say, two of our kids are down here. And
Mm-hmm.
the idea was to spend the winter down here and then either go back to Colorado or go travel someplace. And I got sidestepped. So, but that is still the plan.
Okay. So the dream is not dead.
That the dream is not dead. We
That's
were
right.
talking about that the other day, that it would be really nice if we could, go spend the summer in Colorado,
Yeah.
because the wife and I really enjoyed that. Like I see, we've got a lot of friends up there. It's beautiful climate during the summer, not so much in the winter,
Right.
but basically just become the true snowbirds.
Right. Right. How are
So
you
that's
finding
the
life
plan.
in an RV versus a house?
It's, obviously the space is the issue because you don't have, places to stuff everything. Like I don't have my shop, and,
Right.
you know, gunsmithing and tinkering with things was kind of what I did when I wasn't working sometimes. And I don't have
Mm-hmm.
that. So, that's a little difficult to actually have to pay to have somebody do something for me that I would normally do myself.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Because that's heavy
it,
to that's heavy, weighty to carry around, and that's an issue.
it is. You can't do it. You can't
Mm-hmm.
carry all your shop tools, and so I'll figure that piece out eventually. But
Mm-hmm.
we actually talked about, maybe buying a piece of property and, putting a few things on it, but mostly a pad for the
Right.
RV. And then, you know, at least have a landing space where we could have a storage shed and I could have a little shop. You know, that's probably in the
Mhm.
near future at some point. But overall, I mean, just getting by with the amount of space we have. Because I hate to say this, we had a 4,000 square foot house.
Mm-hmm.
And we went from that to, a 27-foot hideout.
Right. Right. It definitely takes some acclimation to move, and you have to like each other or at least agree to get along,
And we've
right?
been we've been stuck with each other for 43 years, so I think we'll make it a couple more.
You think?
But then
You-
I lived in a tent for a year in Iraq. So,
Okay. So you know it can be
this
done, right?
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My life in the army taught me that you can live in a small space and deal with it and still have fun and still enjoy yourself. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was talking with another guest a couple of, I think the last episode, about resilience being kind of a core thing that people who live full time in an RV need to have. You need to have that sense of resilience where you just know that it's going to work out. When the axle falls off, you're going to get through it, right?
you got to
Have you?
fall back to that pioneer spirit,
Yes.
really.
Yes. Yes.
Because my ancestors came across the plains in a covered wagon. They
Right?
came in a boat. They came in a boat first. So,
Mm-hmm.
when they left Denmark to come here, they came in a boat and then, traveled cross country. So,
And neither one of those had air conditioning,
no.
right? And I know you're not in Arizona without air conditioning.
Oh God. I
Especially
remember
for
being
those
in the
summer
I
months.
remember being in the field here when I
Hmm.
was in training, and it was like only like May, and we were in tents in the field, and it was miserable in May.
Really?
I I can't imagine a tent in July in sunny
No.
Arizona.
Mm, no.
Because
And they have,
even our tents in Iraq had air conditioning. So I mean,
really?
yes,
Well, that's
we weren't
sign me
complete
up.
heathens.
No. Oh, goodness. So what's been a surprising, positive experience that you've had that you didn't expect in this journey?
The people you meet,
Mm,
I think is the big thing. Because everywhere we go, the people are nice and friendly. They're all in the same boat we are.
hmm
Uh, like Sarah was talking about the other day. Everyone's leaving, and it's kind of sad. You make all these friends, and then at the end of the
hmm
season, y'all go your separate way wherever you're going. But you look forward to next year, you're going to go back,
hmm
and you're going to meet more people because not the same people come back. So I think that's been an exciting.
Just the new relationships, different
Well, it is.
relationships than law enforcement, right?
Well, exactly, because unfortunately, you get in law enforcement, you get into that thing where if they're not a cop, you don't want to be around, or you don't want to answer stupid questions like why did cops do this or whatever. So you
Uh-huh.
tend to really narrow down your social group. And if nothing else, this RV life has, you know, forced me to, push that aside and,
Right.
you know,
So you're bonding
and
with
become
people on
I with normal people.
with normal people, but on the platform of RVing, it's a
Yeah,
different commonality, right?
it is, and we're about as
Mhm.
normal as I don't know, but
I only hang out with weird people. That's my
well, and look at our group.
right. So yeah, no, I think it is fun to have these different relationships, and conversely, I'm in an area where people are arriving for the season. Everybody leaves for the
Yes.
winter, and they're coming. So I'm in the opposite um cycle of things than you are right now. All the people are coming in, and we're having gatherings and activities and pickleball and all the things. So it's really interesting that you can kind of curate the experiences you want to have
Yeah.
depending on where
I
you
mean,
go.
I have a joke that I could travel across the country over each way and come different directions and stay around somebody I served with in either law enforcement or in the army. Uh,
Were
and
you
it's
in
sort of
law
made,
enforcement before the army, Brett?
I
Okay.
started in law enforcement in 1978 at beautiful Rexburg PD in Rexburg,
Okay.
Idaho.
Rexburg, Idaho. I'm very familiar with that part of the world.
Oh, yeah, I know
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And then I got in the National Guard.
Okay.
In the aviation side, not in the law enforcement side, and ended up a few years later just going on active duty instead. And then I migrated. I didn't go into law enforcement in the military when I started, but I ended up migrating into it. So
Because it was
I got
familiar
work.
or
Well, I was an interrogator in Panama,
mm,
and
mm,
there was a counter narcotics task force called Panama Jack, and we did some translation work for them. And
hmm
the special agent in charge of that unit is like, "Why are you over there? You're one of us." And he convinced me to apply to become CID agent, and I did. That's where I stayed. Because again,
mm,
I was back with my people.
right. You always migrate back there.
You
So do you
do.
speak multiple languages, Brett? Did I not know
I
this
speak
about you?
I speak English and Spanish poorly.
Poorly?
I Yeah, I used to be very fluent in Spanish, but
Uh-huh.
after 5 years in Panama, the Army in its infinite wisdom sent me to that great Spanish-speaking state of Alabama.
Gotcha. Okay.
Como está, y'all?
¿Cómo está? Oh, Alabama
So
is
I,
one of my favorite places. I'm not going to tell you where because I don't want everybody to go there, but Alabama's awesome.
we had fun in Alabama. We enjoyed. I was there twice. I was once there for tech training and helicopters, and I came back
Uh-huh.
as a CID agent. Was there for 3 years, and we enjoyed it, but a hurricane greeted us when we came to the state, and a hurricane chased us out of the state when we left. And
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
my blushing bride said, "Never again."
Ah,
So
so no more Gulf Coast. Gotcha.
no more Gulf Coast on a permanent basis. We can go to visit, but not to stay.
Gotcha. In between
So
hurricanes.
yes.
Well, and you have wheels, so you can always leave if you see one coming.
And
That's
it's funny
awesome.
because I have a friend of mine that lives in an RV down in Tampa area, and that's exactly what he does. When when
Yeah.
the hurricane when it's right there off the coast, he hooks up the RV and goes north till he's out of the hurricane
Yeah.
zone. He spends a few weeks up there with friends. When it's done, he
Hmm.
goes back.
The way to do it.
I tell you,
That's really one of the reasons we got an RV to begin with many, many, many years ago was so that we would have that to get out of wildfires in the Colorado
well,
area.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So I think it's brilliant. Those people who can make that work, right?
yes.
Yeah. So of all the drone experiences you've had, do you prefer working like in the private sector with the realtors and the construction, or do you
I will
love the first responder stuff that you're doing?
tell because I enjoy the artistic part of the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a closet artist, and I just you know I write a little bit. I don't paint or
Mm-hmm.
draw. I may probably should try it, but my my daughters are very good artists. Dad maybe not so much, but the drone as first responder, that one you can see the difference you're making.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, I do real estate stuff. Okay, they're going to sell the home. Great. New family's going to get it. I do construction. Yeah, I help them see where the project's going. But the drone is first responder. There's a story in my book
Mm-hmm.
about us flying out on a dementia patient that got the keys to the car and took off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wandering aimlessly around Tucson. And the thing most people don't realize is you're a left turn away from being in the middle of the desert out there. Yeah, it's all built up and stuff. You take one wrong turn and you're driving out in the desert.
Right.
And people die every year hiking and getting stuck out in the desert. And we got onto this guy and we followed him till we had no batteries left. We were on the verge of not making it back, and the patrol finally got there. But he was headed toward the desert,
Mm.
and you know, so
So
right there,
satisfying, right?
yeah, we saved a life. There's no
Mm-hmm.
doubt in my mind that we saved a life on that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, being able to provide real-time intelligence to the patrol ops as they go to calls, because we're generally there first, because we fly straight across the city.
Right.
So we can see what's going on the ground, and we can tell that patrol, what they're facing. And that I would have killed to have that kind of intelligence when I was patrol officer,
Right.
to know for sure what I was going into. And then on top of that, to know that until my backup gets there, there's somebody watching. So if it goes south, they're going to be yelling for help to hurry. We'll even descend so that the suspect knows that there's a camera. They know there. We'll get down low enough that they can hear the drone. And so they know, okay, this whatever happens here is going to be for all posterity to know.
Right.
And so that's the exciting part of that job is you make a difference. Yeah, I
Right.
make a difference. I get paid and I make a difference on the commercial stuff. But I think
Mm-hmm.
this, and that's probably why I've stuck with it once I got started on this. The DFR is it touches really close to my feelers and my heart, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know you have one.
And grumpy old
That's
this
really
grumpy
good.
old man gets emotional over things like that.
Well, I can imagine. I can imagine. Have you seen the technology change a great deal since you started doing this work? Or do you
Yes.
expect it to be changing?
Oh yes. Well, right now they're at one of the departments I support, they're transitioning me off the roof. So the platforms they have, they'll be able to launch 24/7, and they don't need a remote pilot on the roof. They don't need a visual observer on the roof because they've got the clearances and the airspace control that they can do it without. So literally, they can launch anytime they need that drone, and they have two drones that are already set up. You fly them out, they come back, they recharge on their own. Uh, really nice setups. I actually use the exact same setup for the company I work for to fly commercial mapping missions down to Texas. We we
Okay.
map we map a railway yard where they refurbish rail cars, and we do it 3 times a day. And they take those pictures and make a map, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and they feed that into the computer, and that's how they keep track of their inventory and how these cars are moving through the process. And actually, it's a
Incredible.
30-minute flight, 3 flights a day on 3 different docks.
And you're doing that from Mesa, Arizona
Oh yeah,
for
I
this rail
log on
yard
to the
in
same computer.
Texas?
I log on the same computer we're talking on, and I fly a
Mm-hmm.
drone.
That's
But
amazing.
the technology's been there for a long time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I was in Iraq, the drones that they had supporting us were being flown out of Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
there
But
was
they
a
were
pilot.
it's military
Yeah,
grade, right?
the big ones, the
Mm-hmm.
Predators and those, but they were launched out of Kuwait by a guy on the ground like me, a pilot. He would get it in the air, and as soon as it got in the air, they would transfer control to a pilot and a weapons system officer at Nellis Air Force Base, and they would fly
Wow.
all the missions from literally around the world. And when they
Mm-hmm.
got done, they would fly back to Kuwait, and the remote pilot on the ground would take control and land the drone. We're
Wow.
doing this. We're doing the same thing now with civilian drones that are infinitely much smaller. But they've improved the technology now that we can do that, and it's cool. It's the way of the future.
What a fun, what is this, a third or fourth career for you? That
Maybe.
is so
Well,
cool.
and that's why that part really fits in with the nomadic lifestyle that we're trying to live. Because
Yeah,
literally, all I need is an internet connection,
right.
and I can fly these projects. And that's really the direction I'm trying to go. And that's the direction the company I work for is going. Is
Mm-hmm.
more of these remote uh, projects because we see the rooftop mission for the DFR going away
Mm-hmm.
because they're gonna all put these autonomous drones on the roofs because it works.
Right.
But they still need like we fly patrol missions on a rail yard down in
Mm-hmm.
California, and
You still
there
need somebody to, yeah, to tell the
you
drone
still got to have
where to go, what
yeah
to do.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
so that's where we're going. And that's why I'm really excited about that part because
Mm-hmm.
that will enable the truck to back up underneath the trailer again.
Right. Get you back on the road. You mentioned your book a little bit ago, and I wanted to just give that a little bit more attention because it's a really cool ebook that is on Amazon. Drone as First Responder, Life on the Rooftop. Why did you write it, and what's it about?
Okay, it's the book is a series of short stories I wrote, basically inspired from sitting on the roof. Uh, I write for therapy.
Mm,
My life in law enforcement and military and deployments, left me with a few issues, shall we say.
mm-hmm.
And writing focuses uh, my mind and gives me an outlet for some of those issues. Uh, so I can't always go and work out and beat up on a heavy bag, but I've always kind of written off and on. I used
Mm-hmm.
to. I remember getting mad at a literary instructor in college because I wrote. She kept yelling at me that I wrote like a cop, and I said, "That's what I am."
Right.
And she basically forced me into a more creative writing style. And the first thing I wrote was about a morning on the ranch. And I just talked about all these different things, sensory things going on. And she read the stupid thing to the class. It embarrassed the crap out of me. But it made me realize that, yeah, I can write that way. I don't have to always write
Yeah.
like a cop. So, and I would just, I'd be sitting up there and, I'd see a call and I'd say, well, that's cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the one with the dementia patient.
Mm-hmm.
And I got home and I sat down and I put it onto paper, if you will.
Right. Right.
And I just had a stack of these things. And I don't know, I think it was on one of our calls and Tom was talking about writing a book and how easy it was. And
Mm-hmm.
that if you had a story to tell, you should tell it. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I remember, I don't know if I said something, and y'all said, "Oh, you ought to do that." And I was just, so it's your fault.
It's our fault.
But I,
And for those of
it
you who don't know, Brett and I met on a networking group that we do virtually for RV entrepreneurs. Um, so that's what we're talking about. We've got a great group that eggs eggs each other on and built a book
when
apparently.
I put it all together, and I still was afraid to push the button.
Mm,
And one thing I can say about my blushing bride of 43 years, she doesn't mince words too often, and she finally told me, just publish the thing. Quit worrying about it. And I went, reach up, punch the button.
easy as
And it's
pushing
been
a
out there.
button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
it's
find
been
it
out
on
there for
Amazon. It's a
it's
great,
it's
inspiring read. And it gives
I
you a
like it.
different perspective on some things. You know, most of us don't get to
Really
sit on the roof
well, and
and observe life
it,
in the way that you do.
I think it lets the layperson know, gets them into a view of the law enforcement world that they would have never thought of looking at.
Hmm.
It gives them a look at some of the reality of what I do professionally and what my mates and the PDs do professionally.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, you know, the triumphs and the it's a simple way to put it. In that
Yeah.
short little book, there are triumphs, there are tragedies.
Hmm.
And I hope it's a good read.
It
And I
is.
hope
I've
people
read
enjoy
it. It is.
it.
I will I put it on the record. It is a good read. I encourage you to go out and read it because it's a short read. It's not a big
It
long
is
book. It's a short
only like
read.
it's only like 10 chapters.
Yeah. And it's inspiring and it's uplifting. It's inspiring and uplifting. So thank you for writing it. So
Thank
we
you for
need to
encouraging me.
we need to wrap up. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to make sure that if anybody wants to follow up or get in touch with you, it's Rising Eagle Drone Services on the internet is your website. And then the book is Drone as First Responder, Life on the Rooftop, and you can find that on Amazon. Any other thoughts or contact information you want to get out there for people?
I'm on LinkedIn, as is everybody. It seems like. But
And we'll put that in
if
the
you're
notes too.
yeah,
So
if
you
you're
can,
on LinkedIn, by all means, connect with me.
yeah.
It's
And if
just,
you're in Mesa,
I
Arizona, reach out.
if you're in Mesa, reach out because we'll go have a cup of coffee or
There you
something.
go.
I mean, I got to get over to Goodyear and talk to Sarah before she takes off too. So
Yeah, well, hurry. You might look
yeah, I
at
know.
this weekend. Well, Brett, this has been so much fun. I learned even a few more nuggets about you that I didn't know. So I'm excited to share that with others and maybe inspire some folks to hit the road, to try some new
Absolutely. That's
things, take that class or course that's calling your name that might create a whole new career for you,
my
or
final
take you
thought is
back to an old
don't
one.
my final thought is don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what it is, whether it's writing, whether it's drawing, whether it's getting in an RV and driving across country, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone because there's an amazing world out there that you're just going to miss out.
Oh, I love that thought. So I'm not going to say too many more words. I'm going to say thank you
Thank you.
and have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Be sure to check the show notes for links mentioned in this episode and join us in the Living the Good Life Facebook community for previews of each episode, the opportunity to pose questions directly to our guests, bonus content, and a community of people committed to living their best life and sharing the journey. Thanks for listening. Let us know what value you received from this episode and what you'd like us to explore in the future in the comments. And please take a moment to drop us a like or some stars. I'm Kimberly Henry. Let's get out there and live the good life.